Welcome, Ann Kozma, to the bridge. I am so happy to have you. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh my gosh, friend, I'm so excited to be here. I think this is like the inaugural episode. I cannot wait to see what you do with the bridge. And I love this whole idea of reconnecting to your purpose and I think reclaiming some parts of joy in all of
Yeah.
all of the education things too.
Yeah. So I want I agree. And I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you and the elevator pitch version of your education journey. And
Oh my
just yeah, I'll stop there. Go.
Yeah, okay, I'll jump right in. I'm so excited. First of all, thank you for having me. And I describe myself as a teacher helping teachers. So I spent almost 20 years in public education in Southern California. I started as a third grade teacher, but the majority of my time was spent in my first grade classroom teaching young scholars. And I absolutely loved being a primary educator. Students came in like kindergartners and left for second grade readiness. And it was such a significant year of growth. So I'm a primary educator to my core. And then, after many years, I felt called to leave the classroom and I knew I could help more students by helping more teachers. I became what's called a teacher on special assignment. We call them TOSAs in California. And I was working for the Innovation and Instructional Support Department, our IT department, that was really kind of cutting edge in terms of supporting. I went one to one in 2010 with my first grade students.
Oh,
iPod
wow.
Touch, first generation, no
Wow.
camera, with these teeny tiny microphones that we would plug in and talk about our authentic reading lives and create brain power book reviews. So, like, from my classroom and then into this TOSA role supporting all schools in my district that was 20 K8 across the board. And, that was an incredible opportunity to come alongside fellow educators, help them see new possibilities and potential for how technology could transform teaching and learning. And in the midst of all that, I was very involved in our organization in California known as Q and speaking and presenting and, leading learning sessions and sharing just ideas that were transformative not only in my classroom, but on my campus and across my district. And fell in love with a few products that are still and became my evergreen tools. And the journey transformed outward. And in
Yeah.
2018, I found myself leaving my school district and accepting a position at Microsoft where I was working on the Flipgrid team and had the honor of working for 6 years as an educator innovation lead on the Flipgrid team, supporting educators around the world who were using this tool to amplify, empower, and provide pathways for students to share their voice, their
Mm-hmm.
authentic voice. And
Mm-hmm.
the product was sunset last year, and I was so thrilled to find myself at a new home. And one of those tools that I had fallen in love with a long time ago in its earliest iteration, it was Adobe Spark, an Adobe Spark video back then, but I am working on the Adobe for Education team as an education evangelist. And that's the full circle moment back to a
Wow.
teacher helping teachers. And I'm a person helping people, whether you're in education, in the
Yeah.
classroom, out of the classroom, in various journeys. I think we're all lifelong learners. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's me in a nutshell. And I guess it's more than a nutshell, but it's been an incredible journey since I started in like 2001.
Oh, that is wild. And okay, so a few things that you shared, I think really resonate with something I'm trying to solve right now. And I'm not saying I'm going to change the world or solve all the problems, but maybe you can connect with me on this. Like I've been listening to teachers over the last couple of years from, ever since we came back after the pandemic um and that was obviously like rocked all our worlds. But what I have seen is that there's just so much instability within the K-12 system. And what's happening is I think it's shaking the confidence and maybe the hearts of some of our educators who are kind of like, wait, is this what I signed up for? Is this within my control anymore? Like, is this still the journey I want to be on? Or maybe, they're close with someone named Ann Kozma, and Ann Kozma becomes a TOSA, and the next thing you know, like maybe they lost their lunch bestie, or maybe, not to get all down and dreary, not to get all down and sad about it. I'm noticing that community is missing. And
Mm,
part of what
yeah.
the bridge is trying to do is connect educators across distance and devices to each other. And some of the work you've done has really like spot on targeted this problem. And I guess what I'm really curious about is, how do you create spaces, whether you're in a class on a school site, or you're attacking education from like the vendor world, right? How do you intentionally create those spaces where people feel like they belong?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think you're right. Like all of our worlds were changed half a decade ago, half a decade already. And there are still ways that folks are dealing with that or processing it or coming through it or the long term kind of shifts and pivots that we all made. But for me, there are life lessons in this too. Like to me, I literally try and live a better together mindset. And I realize that I am somebody who needs community and I need people. And I go back to my first grade classroom wanting to create a space where my students felt safe to come as they are, could be, whatever kind of emotion was displayed, if it was happy, silly, frustrated, anything. I wanted them to feel safe to be authentically them. But I think that's also what humans want is they want a space where they can show up as their genuine self and feel like, hey, I have a place. I'm seen, I'm valued. And I wanted to create that in my classroom. And when I left the classroom and became a TOSA, I was not coming in as an administrator. I was
Mhm.
coming in as a peer, walking alongside folks. And I remember saying in some of those earliest like district-wide PDs that I was doing is I want you to feel like you're in your living room. I want you to feel comfortable in this learning space. I want you to feel like you're sitting with a friend digging into something new and feeling safe to take risks.
Hmm.
And so in 2018, when I left my district, I became a fully remote employee. And so I've had the experience of what it feels like to sit on the other
Mhm.
side of a virtual call or to not be in a physical space where the meeting or the conversation or the people are having that dialogue. And I feel like that created in me a whole new sense of empathy, a whole new
Yeah.
sense of awareness of how to just use even skills or things that are make inherently me, but making them like tools that I can use on a virtual call. Cate, I even lean into a video call. Like I'll lean in. You can
Yeah.
see my face is so I'll lean in. And so what I would do in my authentic IRL space, I also try and do on a video call. So those
Mhm.
little types of things I think can be transformational. But I think it's all rooted in the fact that like I want people to feel like they're a valuable member of that community. And community means different things in different capacities on different days and in different places. But it's rooted in I see you, I value you. You're bringing something inherently and uniquely and authentically you to this
Mhm.
experience. And I want to value that because that's what every person deserves. Plain and
Totally.
simple. Everybody deserves it. So why not live it in your actions?
Totally agree. And I love that like leaning in. Like that's kind of why I'm standing up when we're talking. So I'm like, I want to do my hands. Okay. I would love to know this. This is what did your first work from home space look like? Because I want to say what mine looked like. Because like you, like I went from being in the county office in Santa Clara to not.
Yeah.
And so what did your first home office look like?
Oh. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, the kitchen table, to be
Mhm.
honest,
Yeah,
and being fully transparent, I am sitting at my kitchen table right now.
there you go.
Like, I have the stand-up desk right over there. You know this, I just moved into a new space, so
Uh-huh.
like I'm still finding the vibe of my new space, but that original space was literally a laptop at my kitchen table, and then I set up a home office, and
Mhm.
I had an 8 foot long project table made, and I had like my ed tech books, and I had,
Uh-huh.
the things, I don't know, the tchotchke kind of
Like
like
the
things
this,
that were,
right? Like just adding your
yeah,
little and touches.
yep, that fueled me, inspired me. Ed tech stickers from conferences or friends across my PLN.
Yeah.
Things that were left over from my classroom or my school district, pictures on the wall that
Yeah.
inspired me, whether it was like nature and connecting with that element of my life. I had a lot of prints from my friend, Rabbi Michael Cohen, the ed tech, like the tech rabbi, right?
Yeah.
He had created all of these prints. I had those framed in my space. Um, you know, I guess it was a mishmash of everything.
Mhm.
And I have found that I can work anywhere,
Yeah.
whether it's in the backseat of a car, on a bus tour, traveling from place to place. I don't work well on airplanes. I just don't.
Me
I sleep.
neither.
Like, I can't. But I don't have the designed out space. I don't
Yeah.
have a portable ring light. I have,
Mhm. Mhm.
all the stuff's over there, but I'm not
Yeah.
over there. I'm at my kitchen table with my laptop.
Totally. My first work from home space was kind of an unfinished workbench in a garage.
Yep.
That's where I took the leap. And that had like a total that I mean we all know, you and I know the impact of space and like how that which surrounds you can actually really impact your insides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why even though I'm in like you can't tell, but I'm in like a 7 foot by 7 foot nook in my room, but I'm doing my best to like bring out my little spaces too. And like when we're transitioning, you and I transitioned from being in the classroom where we had a huge amount of space and all the things. I
Yeah.
mean, that took years for me to let go of some of the decorations or some of the books, and I still have some of the stuff. My husband's like, it's about that time, and I'm like, no, it's my emotional support book. Like, don't touch it.
Yep. 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 I
Oh,
fully understand that.
yeah. So, okay, we're gonna pause here. I am not seeing audio come in from you. Like,
Okay,
I
that's
know we're
one mic check.
talking, but I don't. Do you on your end see the?
I see the little white bar going up and down.
All
Yeah.
I needed. I didn't see it on my end, and so I was panicking, thinking
Okay.
we weren't catching this. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Um. Okay. So let's pivot a little bit here, and we talked. I mentioned to you kind of the problem that I'm thinking about, or the people, really the people that I'm thinking about. My heart beats for educators, as does yours, which is why we've you know connected over the years. And I have a fun, like, very core memory associated to you when we were at a professional learning event. And you and I were both kind of in this transition away from K 12 and into, the other side of it, the vendor side. I was starting at Q, you were starting at Flipgrid and Microsoft. And I think both of us we were on that journey at relatively the same time. And we were sitting outside instead of being at a session. So we
Were we
snuck
eating
out.
popsicles
We were eating
also?
popsicles. We were in Sacramento,
Oh,
sitting on a wooden like walkway, like hiding because we weren't in a session, but we were having our own session.
yep.
And there was just this kindred moment of me, like I really saw you for the first time as Anne who just loves to love and who just wants to like make sure that teachers feel taken care of. And that has sat with me. That has resonated with me and kind of driven me in so much of my work. I've never told you that, how much that means to me. Just having that moment. And then it turned into this whole project that was the Q Booms. And not to go into this
Right.
like big old shebang about the booms, but and we'll make sure to put a link to the in the show notes to some of those booms because those were great. But in essence, like it was an opportunity for anybody who felt like they had a story to tell or a mic to drop to
Mhm.
get up the courage to stand up and do it and be surrounded by people who just wanted to love on them. And so now, what does that drive inside of you look like as
Yeah.
you're doing work at Adobe or even as you're just living life as Ann Kozma, the educator?
So I yeah, like community is at the heart of everything I do. And I think, I was kind of reflecting on knowing we were going to talk loosely about like community and
Mhm.
community just as a concept. I have always been in the business of people. And like in high school, I was in ASB and I was like the president of the Girls Athletic Association and I was the publicity commissioner and historian. So in my head, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? I was promoting events. I was talking about all the awesome things people could get involved in. I was capturing the story of it and celebrating the story of it. In college, I was an RA, so it was caring for people.
Our
And
journeys are
yeah,
so
and
similar, my friend. Like I was the historian in high school. Like,
then how did
let me
we've never talked about
clarify.
that before. Oh my God. Well, yeah, so an RA, and then like I was a small group leader my senior year, and then moving into my classroom, like you're leading a community of people. And so these roles in my own growing up years, I think it's just something, and I said it earlier, like inherently in me as a people person, but I want to be that champion for people. I want to amplify them. I was inspired by that Rita Pearson TED Talk Forever and a Lifetime ago, where she's like, kids need a champion. That was very formative in my mind about how to support my students. But as I started working and supporting educators, I knew I could be a champion for my fellow educators. And let's be real, Kate, being a teacher, it is not easy. It is not an easy job. There are so many demands, there are so many things that are needing your attention that are simultaneous, overlapping. And then, of course, the demands that are outside influences that impact so many things. But like in my classroom and in my community work as a TOSA and at Flipgrid and at Adobe, like I want to celebrate the journey. And I want that to be kind of thought of as um, ongoing because we are lifelong learners. In my classroom, we celebrated epic wins. Those were those light bulb moments, those aha moments. I would do victory laps and run around my classroom and high five students.
I
I
can
would
see
do
that.
victory laps in PD at my district. We dance and celebrate, and I'm silly and I think lively and animated when I'm presenting.
Yeah.
But I just feel so strongly about creating spaces where people feel like they belong, but celebrating the journey of it. And the journey is
Mhm.
not always sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. It's
Right.
not. And I'm a big advocate for your feelings matter, your
Mhm.
voice matters, the authenticity of an experience matters. Like, it's just the way I approach everything. So naturally, it bleeds over into my work in community because
Yeah.
it's literally the care for each other, and that looks different every day based on what we're talking about or what we're training about or what experience we're sharing at an event. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I don't have a recipe for it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's hard to explain sometimes because put me in a room with people and we'll walk away friends,
And it's
like
like so authentic. Like I've been in those rooms with you. And like you'll also see someone from across the room and like I have no idea who this person is even though our circles are mixed, but the authentic like love of like I see you. I just feel and like like people say this all the time. You know so many people, but I'm like but it's more than that. Like you feel so many people, which is like such a gift and you should know.
empaths for sure. And then some people always like, oh, what Enneagram are you? Or what? I don't
Uh-huh.
know. I don't know. I think somebody who knows this, drop it in a chat or respond somehow. Like, I think I'm a 3 or maybe a 7. I don't even know what I just said, but like people who are into those things very clearly peg me as, oh, you're a this. And
You're
I
at
don't
this.
remember which number. But I'm a people person
Mm-hmm.
and people are my passion. And I'm in the business of helping people, plain and simple.
Totally. So can we flip the coin? Can we flip the
Sure.
coin? And can I ask, like, what happens when when it's not a love connection? like
Yeah.
like what are
Yeah.
your strategies for working
Yeah.
through the moments that don't feel good or
I'm
challenging, you know?
yeah. I'm glad I actually have an answer for this
Okay.
because within the first week of becoming a TOSA in my school district,
Hmm.
I found myself invited to a dinner with Dr. Ruben Puentedura, who is the
Oh,
creator of the salmon model.
yes.
And yes, right? So, like, everybody, at that time, this is 2014. Everybody's talking SAMR in my school district. And how do we use our devices to go from substitution to redefinition? And what does that transformation look like? And I kid you not, this is within the first week to 2 weeks of being a TOSA. So I was already working with administrators, and one of the administrators, I very clearly was like, I need you to work with this person. We need to support this person. And I remember saying, Dr. Puentedura, what do I do about the teachers who XYZ? And you can put in XYZ with things like don't want to try something new, are
Mhm.
not willing to use the technology they've been given, or anything that could fill in the blank. And he had this profound answer that I took with me. And I'm so glad it was at the beginning of my TOSA journey. He said, well, as long as they are not trying to purposefully sabotage you,
Mm.
accommodate and support, but don't waste your time or money. And I was like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, that is
Mm.
so deep. And I had to chew on that for a while because don't
Yeah,
waste your time or money. I'm not going to not help people.
right. I mean, that sounds like kind of punchy.
It sounds kind of punchy, but here's the truth of it. Some people might not change, and
Yeah.
that's okay because everybody is allowed to be them. And
Yeah.
some people, I don't know their journey, I don't know their lived experience.
Hmm.
And here's what when it said time or money, I thought, okay, I can go in, I can support, but maybe I don't spend hour upon hour upon hour upon
Mm.
hour. Maybe I should have been saying that plural, hours upon hours.
Mm.
And then the money thing, fortunately, I wasn't in control of the budgets. I didn't have that kind of oversight, but other people who did, I could have then countered with, okay, maybe this isn't the best use of our time, or
Mm.
maybe we should invest in this way, or what if we tried this? And I was able to have the perspective that was grounding me in my approach, but also know where can I move that needle?
Yeah.
And if you think about that bell curve
Yeah.
on the diffusion of innovation theory and that middle point over to get people from that late adopter, that
Yep.
second majority in that wave over to the innovator and the vanguard and the people who are doing those things. Cate, that was so deeply profound for me
Mm.
when I first stepped out of the classroom. And fun fact, I still don't have budgetary insight. And I don't want to have I'm not the one making those decisions, but I get to use my thought leadership, my
Mhm.
expertise, and my years and years and years of like experience in this community to shape the approach that I take with people. And if somebody's excited, guess what? They're going to try something.
Mhm.
If somebody's afraid, guess what? I can encourage them and walk beside them. And if somebody just isn't into it, guess what? That's okay. Maybe they'll find a different strategy that is, or
Yeah.
something that gets them excited.
Yep.
And then I'm going to cheer for them when they find that pathway
Yeah.
because we all take different pathways to get to our endpoints. So that was
Yeah.
a kind of punchy answer. Wow. But
No,
I learned it. Learned it.
what it really speaks to, and this is something that we've talked about in our newsletters too, is this idea of creating some healthy boundaries around
Mm.
what we give and what we invest. And I don't say invest in the form of like cash money. I'm saying
Sure.
invest in our resources, like our time, our energy, our heart, our care, our brain space, like and it it's not meant to be punchy. I don't take what you said like that at all. I think it's a healthy way to frame like your humanity and that
Yeah.
there's a finite amount of you that can go around. And how many educators burn out because they don't have those healthy boundaries? Or they're afraid to say, no, I'm not going to check my email at night. What if my kids need me? What if the parents need me? A lot of, I know when I was just beginning in my career, I was way more available than probably was healthy. And I'm so grateful I have the insight now that I can say to the teachers that I work with now, that I'm teaching to get their credential, and I can have them, I can give them some space to think about, like, you know, what is a boundary? What is a healthy boundary for you? And like, how can you draw that and
Yeah.
unguilt it? Like, take the guilt away.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it was honest. I appreciate that. Um, I have one more question for you, and might be
Okay.
tethered to what you just shared, which
Okay.
is if you could give one piece of advice to a teacher who is maybe a couple years into their career, getting their footing. Maybe they've tripped a couple times. Maybe they change grade levels. Maybe they're not sure if this is for them. Maybe they're in love. Just somebody that's like a couple years in. If you could go back and give advice, maybe to you at that time, or think about someone you know that's at that time in their career, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. This is such a great question. And I feel like the advice that I would give on any given day probably would be different from one day to the next. But I think the core message will always be rooted in like finding your people. And that might not be the person in the next classroom over. It might be person, you know, a person across campus. It might be a person down the street in a different district. It might be a friend across a social media platform. But the idea of getting to learn with and from each other is something I will always advocate for. And for folks who are a few years in or new, I guess, I guess what I'm really trying to articulate is the idea of embracing the better together mindset.
Mm,
Because what are you doing? You are learning with and from people, but what are you doing? You're broadening your heart and your mind. You're embracing new perspectives. You're learning from others' experiences. You're seeing something that's different from your own experience. And that's, you know, helping with empathy and awareness. Um, and I just really think the ideas, the passion, the heart of people that you surround yourself with is such a great learning opportunity. And you don't, as an early educator, have to have all of the answers. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to ask questions. It is okay to not have it all figured out. Because I didn't. I didn't my first year. I didn't my second year. I didn't my eighth, ninth, or 10th year. But what you're modeling is lifelong learning. And that's what we want our students to be a part of, that same kind of journey, right? So I guess that's today's encouragement. That's today's message.
yeah, and I love that. I love it's that idea of like kind of creatively look for it, right? Like maybe it's not as convenient as the teacher next door to you, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Kind of like persevere and don't give up
Yeah.
and reach out to us, you know? Like talk about
Yeah.
two people that are connected and want to connect others, right?
Yeah.
Um I thank you and I thank your heart for everything you put into your work, but also just you. And it can be emptying to be a giver like you are. And so may your heart be filled today.
Well, thank you.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you for being a guest and sharing with us.
I am honored to help you as you launch the bridge into the world. I cannot wait for future episodes. I know the conversations you're going to have with folks are going to inspire and encourage so many. So, Cate, thank you. It's a joy to know you. It's a joy to see you in your creative spaces and your professional spaces. But thanks for kicking off the conversations, because I think sometimes folks, even as a connected educator, it's easy to feel siloed. It really truly is. And unless you're out at events or connecting across socials or have the luxury of seeing the people every day, I just think there's nothing but opportunity to learn from each other and the experiences that are shared. But thanks for being a vanguard in the space and caring so deeply about the conversations, but also empowering people with the support, the ideas, and the encouragement to go forward. So thank
All
you.
the love, all the love, all the love. Hey, Ann, if people want to find you, where should they look?
Yeah. Yeah. So, of course, I, am connected across all the socials. You can find me at Ann Kozma 723 Instagram. I'm still hanging around on X because my community is still there. LinkedIn. I'm on the Adobe Creative Educator Facebook group. Definitely that Adobe EDU creative hashtag is a great place to find me across socials. But Ann Kozma 723 on all the platforms.
Love it. All right, my friend. We'll talk to you
All
soon.
right.
Thanks.
Thank you.